Hello, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. This is your sacred crone story time, and we are. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Well, I'm assuming it says I'm live, so I'm assuming it's live. We will just talk like it's live, and I guess we'll just leave it at that. And whether hopefully you're seeing, I don't know. Hopefully you're seeing, you know, what they call subtitles, yes, for those who need that. In case, being Australian, I speak too quickly and in an accent that may or may not sound whatever. But anyway, we'll see. So, hi everyone. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're already into August. Like, what the hell? Where is this time gone? This is so crazy. Um, I really noticed that actually during the week. My youngest nibbling. I love that word nibbling. I saw someone use nibbling for niece or nephew in some other group a while ago, and I just thought that is just the best term. And then I've suddenly seen everyone using it. So apparently I was late to the party in using the word nibbling. Absolutely adore it. Anyway, so my youngest little nibbling, Olivia, living in Singapore with my brother and his wife and sisters, she turned 6 3 days ago. I'm like going, excuse me, I remember when she was a baby and we're buying baby clothes and what the hell happened? Where did these 6 years go? And this is it. Time goes by so quickly, even if you are paying attention to it. And if it is anything that I've learned over the years is that everything changes. Nothing is permanent. And that could, if you choose to, see that as scary and problematic and all the rest of it, and get all sort of caught up in your head about, oh my God, what happens? Things are changing and what do I do? And trying to stop the tide of change. And this is really, really pertinent for us lot who are in our third and crowning stage of womanhood with our various signs of the years passing. Now, okay, I genetically am blessed. My mum, thank you, love mum, with both genetics and a routine. She has, been very much from childhood saying, stay out of the sun, wear hats, wear sunblock, all the rest of it. And yes, the good quality skincare products actually do work. It's only men that tell you that you shouldn't be spending the money on good quality skincare products. So there you go. My mum, she's sticking to it. Well, I've been taking care of my skin and taking care of myself. And I did actually notice that when I lived in Pakistan, funnily enough, when I lived there and did not have access to what I was normally using because I couldn't pay for things on PayPal, couldn't get things shipped in. It was a pain in the ass. Anyway, I did notice that just using, olive oil or something, for me, I looked a lot more tired and a lot more exhausted. I think the humidity didn't help, the dust didn't help, and of course the toxic marriage did not help, nor would it have helped that I developed some stomach thing where I, running off to the bathroom every time I ate something. So I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of things going on as to why by the time I managed to limp back to Australia and after ending that marriage, I was kind of a husk of myself. But I digress. It's not about looking younger here, guys. What it's about, and this is what I really, really want to actually bring so clear, my crone message to all of us going through our stage of the big M and the third phase of life, is a lot of the rhetoric out there aimed at the menopausal market, because of course now we've all got jobs and most of us have bought into the consumer society. So the marketing hasn't completely ignored the older woman as it once had, because now they're trying to sell us on fear of looking older, going grey, body not working the way it should, and then of course medicalizing and pathologizing the physiological symptoms of change that our body goes through. And if you put that on top of the fact that for many, many people out there, for many. I know that I've got a lovely little, very little goldfish bowl of women around me who, like me, are into the energetics of life, into appreciating the fact that we are in fact spirit beings and we're not just the decrepit body aging and all the rest of it. But there are sadly a lot of women out there and a lot of men out there who have bought into the current modern kind of way of looking at life that has removed the sacred from the mundane. Now, when I talk sacred from the mundane, I am not talking necessarily Orthodox religions and their Orthodox kind of rituals, necessarily. However, if you are a person of faith within a faith group that, one of those mainstream faith groups, and that is where you feel a sustenance, please never think that I am ever going to say that that's the wrong way to go. It's not. The key, however, to any adopting, be it New Age, be it Wiccan, be it of one of the major faith religions, the key to adopting and practicing and benefiting from any of the tools that are available to us for tapping into what is already there is to understand that it's already there. What I've noticed is a lot of people go chasing into the sacred spaces, and there's unfortunately a lot of spiritual gaslighters out there. I've been I've dealt with spiritual gaslighters within my Buddhist faith. I've come across it when I was Sufi. I have definitely come across it in the the New Agey, Wiccan-y kind of space. I bring myself hybrid-wise across all. I pull from anywhere that resonates with me. So I go within my wisdom first, and then I look at from a space of wholeness already, then seek a tool or not a tool, or a methodology or not a methodology. But the problem is a lot of people perceive that something's wrong. They think there's something wrong with them. They're picking up something, but again, because they are still caught up in the idea that the outside world is causing them to feel stuff, be it the job, be it the family, be it the partner, or the lack of, or the body weight, shape, size, the wrinkles, the grey hair, whatever it is that you want to sort of pin your experience on and say that's the cause of it. Well, then if that's the framework that you're coming from, that something outside of you is causing this, and that there is something missing inside of you, you're not whole, you're not complete, you need to do something, have something, be something in order to be complete, then none of the religions and their religious rituals, or the New Age, Wiccan, or what have you, none of them are of a benefit if that is the place that you're coming from. So if there is any message I get to my beautiful crones out there, my wonderful women over 40, entering into their crowning stage of womanhood, if you are feeling any level of dissatisfaction, frustration, irritation, or lack within your life at the moment, within yourself, please understand that at your core level of being, your spirit being, the bit that connects you to the universe, it's not lacking. There is nothing outside of yourself that you need to reach for, that you need to do in order to be okay. When we understand that, then that means that we approach the doing, the aligned action in our life, whatever that looks like, we approach it from a space of wholeness already. And this is kind of the cherry on top. This is the ability to take that formless wholeness and bring it into some kind of form, whatever methodology, belief system, ritual. Hence why, yes, all religions have a place. Absolutely they do. Everyone can benefit from any spiritual practice, any religion. There is not one that is better than the other in general. What the key is, there is one that is, when aligned with you and your wisdom, is where your heart is guiding you to. And then in that case, when you know that you are already whole and approach a faith or a spiritual practice, and that can be as simple as yoga and meditation. The Western world has taken, personally, I think it's been the error. The Western health profession area has taken, and the psychological mental health space has taken the sacred out of things like meditation and yoga. And I do actually think that that's doing a disservice to us and humanity in general, because we are not just thoughts in our head and a physical being. We are spirit beings in human flesh form. We have brain thinking. We have a nervous system response in relation to that brain. That's the mechanics of this physical form. But encased within this physical form and the mechanics of it, we are spirit beings. And it's the spirit that leads the form, not the other way around, as our society has largely been trying to tell us is the case. Well, if it's not measurable, if it's not physical, if it's not, then it's not real. Well, sorry, your empirical science is only useful to the degree of what it can measure. Empirical science and evident, and this is again a reason why I have got 3 degrees in psychology. I went all the way through into my honors. The reason that I actually, in the end, did not take the final step to register as a psychologist way back when, was because of the sudden push towards cognitive behavioral and evidence-based, empirical evidence-based therapies that completely eradicated any notion of existentialism, humanitarianism. It just knocked out pretty much anything to do with the sacred and the spirit. And for me, that was the death knell. I had absolutely no interest in becoming a clinical psychologist and working in that space from that framework. So I went sort of diverging for a while into community development. I did my master's in that, and I worked in the humanitarian space for a few years, but 7 years, 8 years. And then I've came full circle back into the coaching space and doing what I'm doing now and what I'm aligned to and what I love, because I get to take everything I've learned along the way, merge it in with what I've already known, what I have known, but merge it now in the 3 principles framework that I'm trained in, that I'm certified in. And that is the framework that tips it all on the head. It tells us quite clearly we are not being impacted by the outside world directly. We are being impacted by our experience of the outside world, the story we tell ourselves. The emotions arise because of that story. Now, unlike cognitive behavioral, unlike NLP, unlike some of the other mainstream psych modalities out there, we don't need to worry about trying to stop our thoughts. We don't need to control them. We don't need to control our feelings. We definitely do not need to go trekking through our past traumas and bringing them up in our thinking in the present moment in order to clear them and stuff. That's crap. The more you focus on the problem, the more problem you get. Past is dead. Energetically speaking, we are already whole. Energetically speaking, we need to bring ourselves back into the present moment. And we do that by focusing on what is the truth. And the truth is that we are always okay. Shit happens. We have some thinking about it. Thinking passes, like the thought and the emotion pass in and out like the tide. It's in and out. We don't go chasing the tide to push it out and pull it back in. We know it does its own thing if we just sit and observe it. This is what is having conscious awareness of the thoughts. We don't have to do anything with them. It's simply awareness. If I'm feeling off kilter, if I'm feeling a little bit, frustrated, annoyed, angry, upset, whatever that feeling is, when I have it now, instead of looking outside of myself to explain why I'm feeling that way, it's simply telling me that I'm having some thinking. I'm a little bit of thinking, a little bit stuck there. I'm not aligned with my wisdom self in the present moment. I'm in my head, my ego thinking, which is always fear-based, and I'm either worrying about the future in the present moment, or I'm trekking through some crappy past that's dead, looking for answers where I'll never find them in the present moment. So this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm doing. And this is the nature of bringing it all right back, the nature of change. Yes, kind of went meandering around the place, but the point of change, where I got to from this, is the hope. Some people look at change as being a problem, scary, but it's not. The universe changes, the physical world changes. We are in a constant cellular regeneration. Why I don't like using the word let's feel younger, let's look younger, let's lose weight and all that crap. Let's feel energized. Let's tap into our spirit-led physical being. We can, in fact, have impact on how the energy of how our cells regenerate. We can heal ourselves from physical ailments. We can. We can also create them. You know, stress is huge. Stress is underlying all forms of inflammation, and inflammation is the key ingredient under all illnesses, at least as far as they express themselves. Yes, some illnesses might have a genetic predisposition towards, biochemical mayhem, but it's the stress-induced inflammation reaction that kicks off that predisposition. Just because someone might have a genetic propensity towards something doesn't mean that it will take form in that way. So, embrace change. Change is good. Change is, in fact, what it is. Change is what the nature of the universe is. Our thoughts arise, they pop in our head. We have like thousands, tens of thousands of thoughts a day pop in our heads. Some of them we pay attention to, some we latch onto and give meaning to it. Others we don't. When thought arises and emotion arises, they both evaporate naturally if we don't pay attention to it and latch meaning onto it, and then try and solidify it and bring it into form. But they pass. Everything passes. Old cells die. New cells are regenerated. So we are not, in fact, aging down. We are not becoming broken in some way because we are at this stage of our life. That doesn't have to be the way it is. We certainly don't have to look at it that way or energetically experience it that way. So I'm very big on countering all the bullshit, both in the medical profession regarding women's reproductive health. We all know that's a load of crap, because men, there'd be, 1,000,001 health-saving treatments that don't cause crappy side effects. We would have had that eons ago, but we know that's patriarchy for you. But we're also not becoming useless and decrepit because we're no longer young. So I'm not about looking younger or feeling younger. I'm about being energetic, experiencing the vitality that is already ours. We don't have to do anything in order to be vital. We already have it. If anything, it's about releasing what isn't serving us and that's getting in the road of us seeing that, what is already true. So what does that mean, sort of in congregating with other people and seeking support from other people? It's not that, or tools or faith or whatever it is that you're seeking. It's not that you don't, it's that you understand the position from which you're doing it. Everything needs to be done first from the embodied insight, the transformative experience of being whole already, of being magnificently miraculous and completely plugged into the universe first. And then from that space, we listen in and we take aligned action. That aligned action for you may well be to go to church or go to synagogue or go to the mosque or do a meditation or a yoga, seek therapy, seek coaching, seek support, whatever it is that you feel drawn to do. but it's listening in first. You don't do from a position of lack. You don't do thinking that that doing is going to fix something as if it's broken, or put something somewhere because you think you're empty. So there you go. That is my Crone Wisdom for you for Wednesday. And I have got talk about releasing crap that you don't need and leading into the next cycle of change and energy and all the rest of it. First, dark moon. The dark moon is the crone moon. The dark moon is the waxing crescent moon, also known as the balsamic moon. I love it, like balsamic vinegar. I love it. Balsamic meaning like balsam, like actually like healing and soothing. And so the dark moon, the crescent, the waning crescent moon, so about that, get the order correctly. What that's all about for us energetically is we're coming now into finishing the cycle that we've just had. It's the crone time. It's the crone power time. It's the time for us to go inwards. It's the time for us to look in, take a little look at what we've done for this last cycle, look at what got in the road, what thinking got in the road of us achieving what it is that we wanted to set out, what those fears were, what those worries were, what past thinking may have come up to sort of muddy the waters. And it's all about releasing that, letting it pass, letting it go. And rituals are helpful for that. They are. Again, when you do a ritual based on the fact that you already know that you're whole and you already know that you're okay, but that you've just got some thinking in the road, that thinking, awareness and knowing is actually sufficient. But rituals are really great too. They can be helpful in just providing a level of support and framework. And particularly in these times now where we have such messaging coming at us as maturing women to either ignore the energetic fact that we're becoming mature women, and we're basically being told to look younger, lose weight, continue working like we did when we were 20 or something, and not actually appreciate the power that we're coming into, our spirit power that we're coming into. That is this stage of life. We're not being given the opportunity to gather together and honor it. And unfortunately, having experienced Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam institutionally, again, not saying the spirit end of the tenets and traditions, but unfortunately the patriarchal institutions that have diverted away from the true spirit traditions of these major faiths, what kind of happens, unfortunately, is that the spaces for women are often, diminished. When I was Sufi and I was practicing Islam, it was probably the only time where I really had an opportunity to have that women's space. But even within that, the women's space within the collective, within the institution, within the mosque system, the women were given, most often than not, in the ritual buildings, they were often given the basement or the attic or something. They were not prized as they were meant to be and front and center of the worshipping space. And unfortunately, this has happened in a lot of the major institutions. The patriarchy kicks in, and then we find that we are not treated in the sacred way that we are actually meant to be treated. So women's circles are really important. Women's circles give us the opportunity as wise women, as women who have lived, as women who have experience. We are already our own therapists. We get to collectively share space, and sacred spaces are important. I know there's lots of group activities we can do, but the reason that sacred spaces are important because it reminds us that we are more than just ego, intellectual thinking, and physical bodies. We are energetic beings. And so the sacred circle space enables us to tap into our true engine that, pushes us forward in our life and has us taking action, aligned action, and creating the life that we want. I honestly, truly, I'm going to put it out there and say it. I believe, I'm quite perplexed and saddened to see in a lot of the menopause, women over 40, women over 50 groups that are focused on the physiology of menopause, in particular, or health and well-being. I'm very saddened to see a lot of them being put onto antidepressants. And it's like, well, no. If we approach our menopause from purely a physiological body symptom kind of way, then that's the solution. Take a pill. And then even if what people are taking is like a supplement or some supposedly healthy way of doing things, and believe me, I do take supplements. I have my probiotics. I found a few herbal supplements that are really good for hormone balancing. Absolutely, I do use them, not saying that you don't, but the efficacy of them is in fact brought about by approaching, again, from the wholeness perspective. I'm an energy being. My body might be having a little bit of a hissy fit, but I'm going to maybe do some tapping, maybe do some deep breathing, maybe channel back into my true energetic self first before taking action. Whereas a lot of these women are being fed, antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills are not being treated. We know that our allopathic, Western, patriarchal medical system has absolutely no idea what to do with women and women's bodies. So clearly that can't be the way to go. There's got to be more for us in feeling good in our skin, in feeling vital, in feeling the true power of what we are in this time. And I'm telling you, I believe that it is indeed all about bringing the sacred back into the mundane, however that looks for you. And the key first is to realize that you are actually a spirit being. It's to not just intellectually, but energetically embodied. And so hence these tools and techniques to help bringing you back into center, bringing you back into your spirit self, they're helpful. They're not necessary in the sense of creating what is already there. It's not like something is missing. It's not like these tools and techniques and things are putting something that doesn't already exist, but it is actually helping you. It's helping you pay attention to what is there that our society has not helped us to do. In fact, it tells us not to do it. It tells us to use your head and just think your way through it. Worst answer in the world. Do not take action from your fear-based ego thinking. This is wrong base to take action from. Anyway, that's your lot on that. That's my little nugget. I just really felt inclined to say that to you all. We are in a state of change, and that's a good thing. So, Crone Moon Circles. First Crone Moon Circle, Dark Moon Circle, is this Friday, 5th of August, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m., which will be 6 p.m. for Eastern Standard Time over there yonder. So if everyone else works out what that is, it's sort of late, it's late afternoon, early evening for my gorgeous Northern Hemisphere PST, EST, CST, MST lot. That's where we're at the moment, because they are the people that voted. I put a poll out. If you want to vote on what time frame suits you in your local area, what suits you to connect with me and do some of these activities live, please vote. You're allowed to vote on a number of options, so please vote. And what I'm trying to do is do these activities live at a time that will get as many of you as possible to attend live. Now here, this is Crone story time. That's here physically in this group. If you can't watch it live, you will be able to catch it in replay. The Crone Circle, however, because it is sacred space, it's being held in Zoom. It's $33 a month. What you get for your Crone Circle for $33 a month is the Crone Circle. We're going to do lots of different things that feel aligned in that moment. So I will follow my guided wisdom in that moment. And once we've opened the circle and shared where we're at, based on what's shared, at some of the ritual activities that may be called upon, might be EFT, you know, the tapping. Absolutely swear by this tapping. Love it. Tapping for releasing and energizing. We could do a guided meditation, so specifically a dark moon, Crone moon meditation. We could do, and I've been refining my skill with this, and I absolutely love it. We could do a somatic movement exercise together, where we get to tune into ourselves, one word, describe where we're at, and then allow our inner wisdom to express, bring that word into form through a gesture. You know, so something like, I might be feeling angry, or I could be feeling expansive, you know, whatever the feeling is. And then how it works is that each person in the circle does their movement, and then we repeat it back to them, building upon each other, a bit like Chinese whispers. And then at the end, when we've gone through the circle, we together can perform it like a choreographed dance, a healing dance, a healing, reflective healing movement dance. And I absolutely love this idea. I think I had an opportunity to attend such an activity earlier in the year, and just absolutely love the idea, and have been reading around it and working around it, and want to bring that in for us. There'll also be a wisdom card reading, just one card per person, with an awaken lesson, my awaken framework, awaken the joy within. So I'll decipher that card for you from that perspective. So there you go, and what my inner spirit, my inner wisdom guides me towards talking to you about and letting you in. So that's the kind of activity that we're going to be looking at. Obviously, in a space of an hour, we're not going to necessarily do all of it, because silent spaces and spaces to talk for, like, you know, for you to talk and for you to share, and sacred silent spaces are really important. So each Crone Circle each month will look a bit different. We might just pick one of those activities, maybe two, depending on what we feel called to do in that circle. But they're the kind of things that I want to introduce into this Crone Circle. And those who sign up for the Crone Circle as a monthly recurring activity, you also get a WhatsApp support group that we can be in contact with, shared inspiration, shared support between sessions. That's for those who sign up as a recurring PayPal invoicey thingy, me and my tech. Other than that, if you want to pay casual rate month by month, that is totally fine by you. And what you'll get is the sisterhood, the Crone cauldron, and the healing opportunity, the opportunity to release what's unnecessary and make space for the next cycle. I'm excited that I'm finally sort of figuring out what it is that I want to do and how I want to express it and what it looks like. And it's just that I wanted to make it really clear that, unlike maybe the basis of framework that maybe other ritual activities may take, I'm here to tell you that you already have your spirit. You're already whole. You're already magnificent. These activities are simply to bring you back to what is already there. They're not about me putting anything in you. It's not about changing the outside world so that you can be okay. It's simply about helping you to become aware of the story in your head. And yeah, ritual helps us release it. It is helpful when we pop into our head and go, oh, this is what's going on. This is a bit not useful for me. Some people work really fine with it's just awareness and that's enough, like a puff of smoke. And I have found that to be true for myself as well, that yeah, sometimes it is just awareness. It's like flipping on a light switch and that is sufficient. That's all that's needed. But sometimes we want a little bit more, and that's okay. That's a good thing. So I will be putting the registration link. It's a Calendly registration link. If you want to come to this Crone Circle, you need to sign up. Okay, I've talked a little bit longer than that's my beautiful daughter ringing. Sorry about that. I am going to just tell her. I'm just going to tell my daughter, my beautiful daughter, who wasn't feeling so well. So I'm just going on live in Facebook. I'll call her back later because this is what mummies do. My little pumpkin. So she's not little anymore. I mean, but they're always little, aren't they? I mean, she's 25. She's married. She's got a life going. Clever woman that she is, having come through the crappy father, the husband that I, unfortunately, her father, the man I married, was not, a good man, a wholesome man. She managed to work through all of that and come to the other side of it, and has now married in a lovely young man who is wholesome and wise and caring and loving, and they know together that they can weather whatever crap storms come up. And I know it too. I feel it energetically. Very, very happy for that. So mum is relieved. Anyway, let us get to we've done Crones Improvise. Crones don't grovel. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we don't beg. We don't have to. No. All righty. There was the instant recognition of, I know exactly what you mean, laughter. And this is why we do Crone Circles as well. It's the laughter. The laughter of a crone is vastly different to the laughter of a maiden. Ours is that slightly dark, cynical, but still hopeful laughter that comes from, we know. When one juicy crone in a circle of women said, I don't grovel for approval anymore. This is the unapologetic authenticity. And I want to say very quickly that what I've learnt along the way, when I understand that the outside world is not causing my shit, that I'm already whole, all the rest of it, all that good stuff of the 3 principles, what it means is I get to be my unapologetic, authentic self without having to don the armor and get on the horse with my lance kind of thing and go into battle to force everyone to, fit my story of myself or something like that. It literally is, I don't care anymore, but it's not screw you, fuck you, don't care. It's not angry, defensive, judgmental, don't care. It is coming from an energetic space of fearless compassion. We're all in this mess together. We're all wading around in this soup of humanity together, and sometimes we have awareness and sometimes we don't. That's all part and parcel of the human experience. No one knows my reality. I don't know theirs, and we don't have to. That's the beautiful thing. We don't have to actually be on the same page with anyone in order to be okay with them and be okay with ourselves. And when we, again, it's not intellectual, when we internalize it as embodied realization in the core of our spirit being, what it means is we just get to show up. This is who I am. Today, this is who I am. No makeup. Bra, not probably holding the boulders up in the best way. Whatever. I get to be whoever I want to be, whoever I feel that I am from my inner core being. And if someone doesn't agree with what I'm saying here today, that's okay. I don't have to prove it to you. If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, you can leave. It's all okay. Everything, and this is the way. But you can leave with love. It's not you can leave, fuck off, get out, close the door behind you. Don't let a door hit you in the ass kind of thing. It's you can leave with my love. You can leave with my goodwill, because I don't need you to agree with me in order for me to be okay. Simple as that. And it's a beautiful space to be in, because then when we are in that space, it does mean that those difficult relationships that everyone says that we need to, cut ties with and no longer deal with them, and because they drain your energy and all this crap, it's bullshit. They don't. No one drains anything of you except that you think it. And so when you know the true energy from which you come, your spirit energy, then it does mean that you can hold space for difficult people and not take it personally and still have goodwill for them. Disclaimer, I'm not saying that if you're in physical danger that you stay in that. But what it does mean is that when you leave physical danger, when you leave harm, you're able to actually still release them from that space, that energetic space, not one of fear and anger and resentment that keeps you tied to them forever and a day. Story in your head about them and all the rest of it. So really important. Okay, so bringing it back, where are we at? So I don't grovel for approval. Truly, that was then, and this is now a comment about a compelling need to maybe please a man. I'm interested in that anymore. Those who laughed ruefully recognized not that anyone in the room was admitting to having actually groveled, but each knew the feeling, that anxious effort to please. And no, I put my hand up. In my 2 toxic marriages, I indefinitely did get myself into a frenzy of thinking where I was begging and pleading, tugging at their, I have no shame in acknowledging that when I was not in my wisdom, and I didn't know back then what I know now, I did not show up in a way that was helpful for myself. Not saying that had I shown up in the way that I know now that they would necessarily have been different. Maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't. I'm not responsible for how other people behave. I'm not responsible for what they receive and how they choose to act upon it. However, had I shown up in my wisdom, had I known all this back then, I probably wouldn't have gotten myself in the mess in the first place, to be quite truthful. So, am I good enough or pretty enough? Do I please you? I know that's coming in for a lot of us out there in the messaging now. Look at the wrinkle, look at the grey hair, look at the menopause or weight gain, what have you. Hands up. And I'll actually say that. I've got my masterclass coming up on the 17th. It's free and it's about loving the skin you're in. That has been the final frontier journey for me as a crone. Not saying I've made it to the finish line yet fully. Maybe we never will. I think it's a continued process of awareness and living in your skin, but learning to love it as it is, not waiting to look younger, lose weight, whatever the crap is that we're told out there that we need to do in order to be valid. I know that when I came into this coaching space, and particularly now in this energetic space, so if you're aligned and you're energetic and you're manifesting and all that sort of stuff that's spread out there, some of the shadow messaging out there is well, if you're not now wealthy, so if you're not claiming 100K months or something, and if you're not maybe looking like Insta perfect, then somehow you're doing it wrong. You're not aligned. Because if you were fully aligned, the weight would drop off and you'd look 100 years younger and you'd have millions of dollars in the bank. I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. Your aligned action from your inner wisdom is going to take a very different shape than mine. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take form in, you know, looking 100 years younger, losing weight, and having millions of dollars in the bank. Not necessarily. It could, but it doesn't have to. And those are not the only measures of success in your life. So it took quite some time for me to realize that I am successful. Absolutely. My bank balance may not reflect that metric of success at this point, not fully. It's getting there, but not fully. And yeah, I'm working on the story I told myself of the padding that I have as protection from abuse and physical harm. I'm working on releasing that. It's happening. But whether it really happens, whether I suddenly have a washboard stomach or some crap like that, does not mean, you know, a J-Lo body. Oh, look, she's still fuckable at 45 because she looks like a stripper. Well, what have you? We don't have to. It's not the metric of success. You can if you want. If that's truly aligned to you, please go ahead and do it. Don't get me wrong. Have grey hair, don't have grey hair. Do whatever you feel aligned to do, but understand that it's from arising from within, from the wholeness within as aligned action, not based on some fear-based thinking that if you don't do it or you do it or something like that. Anyway, so how sad and how pathetic we were in the awful years of feeling awkward, rejectable, and therefore relieved to be acceptable. Decades have passed since high school, and yet many women, here, hands up on this one, have vivid memories of the time when being popular really mattered. I know for a fact that there is a story that I still, you know, have carried energetically through my life of not fitting in. I wasn't the pretty one. I wasn't the popular one. I was quiet and nerdy. I did belong to some group, but they didn't include me in anything. And so the story that I think I carried with me and has been something I've been releasing energetically in this space is one of, oh, well, if I create an event, if I come on live, if I create a group, if I what have you, they won't come. Well, there's 262 of you at the moment in here. I haven't really been promoting the group. I will say that now. I'm not out there promoting it as such. If you love this group and you know that you have beautiful women friends who you know would absolutely engage and absolutely love this space and vibe off what I'm saying, please invite them in. This is your space to bring in the women you want rather than me necessarily, you know, forcing on you. This is our space. And I certainly don't want a space filled with numbers that aren't interacting. That being said, this has been a big one. Just creating a Facebook group has been a challenge to this energetic belief, you know, that oh, well, if I build it, they won't come. Women entering their crone years often revisit feelings that they had in high school because menopause has some similarities with adolescence. Yeah, we're having a hormonal imbalance. Yeah, our body is definitely shifting and changing. It's a hormonal and physiological period of transition and uncertainty. When insecurity about attractiveness once rears its head again, and it doesn't help that we live in a society to tell us to fear that. Young women and menopausal women feel too fat or too flat or too much or not enough. And in both cases, again, this is the having taken the sacred. We are made of stars. We are plugged into the universe. We cycle with the moon. We are absolutely plugged in to the sacred spaces and the sacred rhythms of existence. Yet when you just put it down to, oh, it's just a bodily symptom, it's like it's like almost just everything's just about like going to the toilet. It's not sacred, it's not real. And that includes sex. Don't get me wrong, love sex, love an orgasm, love all that stuff. But the way our society has treated women's bodies and the way that sex has played itself out, it's either been a space of warfare, you know, men raping us and all the rest of it, or a space with which our lack of wholeness, well, here, please accept me, open my legs, please accept me, without actually understanding the sacred, tantric sex, when done properly, again, unfortunately, out there in the space, tantric sex has been taken over by a lot of patriarchal, gaslighting, misogynistic, new agey spiritual people who don't actually understand what it's all about. They just think, oh, well, it's another word for having an orgy. No, it's not. It's not. It's about tapping into the rhythms, our sacred rhythms that connect us energetically. And when done properly, it opens portals in your mind. It is so important. And it's very important for women to understand that our energetic being, when we receive the energy in that way, that is really, that's powerful stuff, not to be diminished to just another bodily function. This is my view on it. So enjoy it, love it, but understand everything is sacred, not in a patriarchal religious sense. Okay, so older women do feel themselves becoming invisible, especially if attractiveness was part of their people pleasing and their personal magnetism. Wanting to please is normal. Well, it's normal for the ego. Anyway, it's normal for the ego thinking to want to please. It's not actually necessary nor normal for our spirit being. It doesn't need that. Being willing to grovel goes way beyond wanting to please. Think of the difference in demeanor between a beaten dog who cringes and wags her tail at the same time versus a healthy puppy who wiggles with delight and is eager to please. And having been in 2 abusive marriages, I totally understand that imagery. Nature has made the young of all species vulnerable and cute. Yeah, well, they do that. I mean, the biology and the pheromones of a baby is so that we actually do sit up all night looking after it and disturbing our sleep and not killing it. I mean, all things working properly. It's protective, nurturing qualities in adults. We all come into this world as energetic beings, whole, loved, loving, unconditional love. We are spirit beings. We are whole and complete and okay the way we are when we come into this world. And we all come to be love, which is an essential ingredient. I mean, love is what the universe is. The unconditional love is the energy of the universe. Anything that is not love, and there's difference, timeless love, unconditional love, the love that we categorize as love in our relationships is not love. 9 times out of 10, it's ego attachment and aversion. It's not unconditional love. I'll be nice to you if you do whatever it is that I expect. We come into the world to be loved, which is an essential ingredient needed for growth of the body and the psyche. If we are loved, accepted, and treated well, we don't grovel. Absolutely. We act naturally and spontaneously. And the thing is, it's loving yourself in that way. It's first and foremost understanding that you are already unconditional love. You are already joy incarnate. When we tap into our own engine of love and joy, then we are not looking outside for other people to fill something that we think is missing. Instead, we're able to show up open-hearted, open-armed, my spirit seeing their spirit and interacting at that level. That's what happens when we do that. When groveling occurs between 2 adults, fear of punishment, which can be rejection, exists. It's a hierarchical relationship in which one person has power over the other and is exercising it. Now, again, the outside world is not causing us anything. We give our power away. They're not taking it. I totally acknowledge and am not making excuses for my abusive husbands. They chose behavior that was not okay. They chose harmful behavior, and they will be accounted on some energetic level somehow. But I chose to bring that into my life because I didn't love myself unconditionally. Simple as that. I own it. I own that I called that in. and kept it in because I hadn't learnt that lesson yet. Groveling is a psychological state of mind in which you defer to another person because you think of yourself as needy, unworthy, and inferior. Groveling, that was me. Groveling can also result from being in an abusive relationship that you don't leave when you could. Well, as I was saying, yes, but again, chicken and egg kind of thing. It started with me fundamentally not understanding, not knowing, and we are told from childhood, unfortunately, this mistake. It's an innocent oppression in the sense that most of us are raised in the language, in the framework of what happened at school today. You're upset. Did Tommy, did Jane, did whatever do something to you? We hear it in our books and our movies. We say it of each other. We say, my kids are pissing me off, my husband's annoying me, my job is frustrating, what have you. We say that the outside world is causing us to feel stuff. Naturally, if we think the outside world is causing us to feel stuff, then the solutions are scary because we know we can't control the outside world and it's all focused on the outside. And then if that's the case, then we will say that person caused my neediness. No, they didn't. I brought in that need, that my own lack of self-worth, my own lack of connecting to my wisdom self, based on this innocent oppression, this misunderstanding of the truth of human existence, resulted in me calling in people that were of no benefit to me. And it took me a long time. In fact, I did it once and then I didn't learn that lesson. I did it a second time in my early 40s. Hence why I'm really focused on the early 40s space of understanding that if we don't embrace our Crone wisdom as we enter into this stage, then we prolong the difficulties in our life. We make decisions based on an exponential level of lack. And the man that I married, the culture that I married into, very much prized fertility and sort of dangled over your head. Well, if you didn't pop out a baby, then you're useless. We'll throw you aside and get a younger one. So not a cool look. Now, okay, Western culture may not be about babies anymore, but it certainly is about being sexually available and vital and desirable. So, you know, without the consequences, because the men don't want the consequences of looking after families most of the time. Not saying these other guys either, but, you know, anyway, it's patriarchy as it plays out in different forms. Inequality that is built in as part of culture fosters low self-esteem. Feminism made women aware that this is a fundamental assumption of patriarchy. Whenever men or white people, and I'll agree that it is Western colonialism, imperialism, but I married into a, well, I was Pakistani. I married into a community of color. And believe me, there's a mess in that as well. So it's not, but then, and no, some of the mess was colonialism, but it was also their own inherent cultural mess that was separate to colonialism. So, you know, anyway, whenever men or white people assume they are automatically superior, entitled to deference, women and minorities suffer from being treated as inferiors. Inequality leads to abuse of power by those in power, which harms them at a soul level as well as hurts those they oppress. And what I want to say is, again, the outside world is not, our soul isn't damaged, our soul is whole. So I will, there are a few little differences in the way that Jean Shinoda Bolen, as a psychoanalyst, speaks and the framework from which she speaks from that I differ slightly from. And it's a little bit of just, it's back to the base. Our souls are not broken. Our souls will never be broken by our ego thinking and our actions. Never, ever, ever. We have come in this world complete. We remain complete. What happens, however, is the more ego, fear-based thinking and fear-based action that we build upon and direct our lives in, we direct ourselves further and further away from our innate wisdom. We kind of cover it over, like, you know, with mud and dirt and and all the rest of it. And then we stir it around. So it's like, you know, the crystal clear water is our true spirit. We keep putting dirt in there. And then because we think it's the outside world causing us, then we are constantly stirring that dirt in the clear water in an attempt to, I don't know, change the outside world, change the thinking. You know, the mechanics of separating the dirt from the water is incorrect. The basis of understanding what the dirt is and what the clear water is and what's going on, for the most part, by many of the modalities, is incorrect. And then that is the issue, really. So it's not that our soul is broken. The minute you sift out the sediment and the dirt and stop stirring it in there, the crystal clear water is there for you. It's there. It's your wisdom. It's always been there, always will be there. But it certainly helps to get ourselves out of situations that clog up our thinking and keep us up there. Inequality leads, but indeed, where the abuse comes from this thinking is, I had my own story about myself that resulted in me covering up my true inner nature, my true spirit being, and allowed and invited in and allowed and stayed within, abusive behavior because of the story that I was telling myself. Equally, my exes and those who cause harm out there, they are having their own story in their head. It's problematic, it's fear-based. They are laboring under the misunderstanding of where feelings come from and what's going on. They are reaching for a way, because all living beings want to move towards safety, want to move towards good feeling, and they want to move away from bad feeling. And so unfortunately what happens is that people who don't understand what's going on, they responding to the story in their head. So if they have a problem in their head, they're responding to that problem. They have problem feelings because of that thinking. And their chosen behavior is ineffective and damaging, in fact, because they are responding thinking it's the outside world. They think it's you. They say it's you. You're causing me this. You know, but it doesn't work like that. So naturally, yes, they're causing harm. But they're causing harm more to themselves because they are moving themselves further and further away from their crystalline spirit. There are a lot of women who are non-groveling crones today because of feminism. Yes, sort of, kind of. I'm definitely I definitely come from that foot of feminist leanings, but I would like to use really more, it's about coming into the divine feminine. So again, not feminism from the ego-based, intellectual, fear-based thinking necessarily, but from understanding the divine feminine, understanding our nature, our spirit nature and the energetics of it, and living from that space. Personally, this is where I come from. Equality as a principle, reproductive choice, the availability of opportunities, support to become an authentic and whole person cannot be taken for granted when none of these were in the culture prior to the women's movement. Western made, well, yeah, that's an interesting one. Depends on which culture and society you're talking about. Unfortunately, for a lot of Indigenous cultures, they were matrilineal. They were respecting of the feminine, divine feminine, and they were diverted from that, or punished, in fact, from practicing that. And that includes Western tradition, you know, pre-Christianity, the pagan ways back then, pre-Christianity, they too were largely divine feminine energy based. They at least acknowledged it, you know. While Crones agree that nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent, a saying contributed to Eleanor Roosevelt, who became a crone without the movement, I think that without the women's movement, so this is Jean Shinoda Bolen saying this. She is a Jungian psychoanalyst and feminist. She definitely comes from the space of reintroducing into our patriarchal society in both in our ritual spaces and political spaces, social spaces, the divine feminine. So this is what she's about. So she for herself, she is very much about this. Tying the political to the social. And I appreciate that, and I love it, and I do love the acknowledgement of what went wrong. Why? It's good for some people, they don't know what kind of socially what went wrong. Well, patriarchy went wrong. This is what went wrong. But for me, I'm not so much interested in tying our sacred divine feminine journey to an outward intellectual political stuff. Again, everything is about aligned action. Take action from your spirit. Tap into your inner wisdom. And then from that space of inner wisdom, you may take on the form of changing society and social justice and fighting the patriarchy and what have you. Or you may choose to be a hermit in a cave and just and retreat away from the mechanics and the systems and structures that divert your attention away from reinforcing and energizing your Crone vitality. Either are fine. Everything is fine. Everything is okay. How you choose to bring your formless energy into form is completely up to you. So she's saying, so, okay, an exceptional woman could become a crone. So that's her saying that. Okay. Crones laugh together. The belly laughter of women together is something that usually happens in the absence of men. It's why we're having a Crone Circle. It's spontaneous potluck of sharing that often arises in the midst of talk that is very real and true. Laughter arises in response to the tales told on oneself that could have been me stories of embarrassing or triumphant past moments. The stories and laughter build and bubble, and a general state of hilarity results. This is what I want. I want connection with my beautiful Crone sisters, and I want this space. I want to create a space where we can, commiserate and share and support and transmigrate the stories in our heads into energy and manifest what it is that we want. It's the kind of you had to be there laughter. It's laughter in which endorphins and healing, well-being molecules of emotion flow. Crones together are most likely to laugh until tears flow because they know when they are with like-hearted women and don't need to preserve a persona. There's no pecking order here. When I have explained women's healing laughter to mixed audiences, I have commented that Crones will report afterward, I laughed so much I could have wet my pants. And then I pause and say, I'm being postmenopausal, which is invariably followed by a wave of laughter from the women in the audience, those who very well know that this actually happens. This is a glimpse of healing humor, which acknowledges and makes light of difficulties that unite rather than divide us. It's a slice of shared life. Men have accused women of having no sense of humor because we don't laugh at jokes that men think of as funny. Freud's analysis of humor as being hostile helps explain why we might not, especially when directed at women. Then there are jokes that little boys tell, the kind of scatological toilet humor, which grown men still find funny. Little girls and grown women don't get why. And I totally get that. I've always been Marx Brothers versus the Three Stooges. I've never really, I never really got into Mr. Bean, but I love Blackadder. So, yeah. Men have accused women of having no sense of humor because we don't laugh at jokes that men think of as funny. Freud's analysis, I said that already, sorry. Difficulties between the sexes have made some women describe the challenges being an interspecies communication problem. This seems to apply especially to humour. However, humour as an outlet for hostility or superiority has an appeal to both sexes. Dumb blonde jokes, mother-in-law jokes, put-down humour in general, including man-bashing jokes, are all outlets of hostility. This kind of humour does not leave people with a sense of well-being, and the quality of laughter is different. Compared to hilarity or healing laughter, there is an absence of affection. The comfort level which invites laughter among women comes from a sense of being among one's own. However deeply one loves specific men, men often do feel like a separate species. As Caroline Hilbrun in The Last Gift of Time mused, Doris Lessing has wondered if anyone observing humankind might not conclude that men and women were different species. So diverse are their habits, obsessions, and pastimes. It is an idea that has occurred to all women at one time or another. This sense of being among one's own is not a universal feeling among women. It depends upon the shared archetypal sense of sisterhood. The laughter of crones comes from a deep well of feeling. It's an expression of triumph of spirit and soul over that which could have broken us or made us bitter. It's because whatever happened or didn't happen didn't turn us into whiners, complainers. Sometimes it comes close to gallows humour. I have a very dark sense of humour. That regardless of how old we are or not, what shape we may be in, at this moment we're still here. And laughing and are laughing together. Hilarity is a spontaneous expression of freedom and celebration. And this is key. This is what I want from these Crone Circles. I want to bring this space together where, and it's not about me being superior or you know, the expert as such, but to facilitate with the wisdom I know, and then open space for each of you to bring your wisdom in, and together we create a space that is one of celebration, of laughter, of commiseration and release and healing and all the good stuff. So there you go, my loves. Now, I am going to quickly, I have not been paying attention at all to any, comments on this live. So let me just pop into my group on my phone that I was reading from, and let me just have a quick look and see, was anyone watching me live? This was a good one, by the way. I love this talk. Talked a little bit longer than I thought. Oh, there's 2 comments. Yay. Hi, Pia. Hello, John. Hi, Jana or Yana? Is it, do you say the J or do you not say the J? Is it a Y or a J? Let me know. And I'm glad that you're loving this. Thank you so much. Thank you for still being here. This went on a little bit longer than I sort of anticipated, because this is it. You listen to your wisdom, and from that space, stuff comes out. And I've just really wanted to consolidate everything that I'm doing and the framework that I'm coming from. And this is the space for you if you want it. And I will be putting the link to the Crone Circles to sign up for. You need to sign up through Calendly. It's the first one is this Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. my time, which will be like 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the various times around that. So it's going to probably be the most friendly time-wise for my American, Canadian, maybe New Zealand type area. I may not be quite as friendly for Europe and the UK, but heck, all the good stuff I want to do is always coming out of the Northern Hemisphere. So I find myself now attending events and activities at my 2 a.m., at my 3 a.m. That's just life. It's the way it is. So, you know, if you want it, you'll come regardless of the time, but I am trying to find times that might suit as many people as is possible. There is, I'll put the link also in the comments of this. There was a poll that I put out asking for people to vote on their timeframes in their local time zone that worked well for them. Might be morning before work, could be during the day midweek, could be Sunday evening, could be evening midweek. You're able to vote on as many timeframes that work for you as possible. And again, the majority rules. So the people that voted this week were largely from the Eastern Standard Time zone. So I made it accessible with them in mind. Okay, so one last thing is I'm going to pull you guys, as I said, I'm going to pull you I'm using, and I love this, I'm using Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light deck. I love Work Your Light deck. I'm simply going to shuffle and talk at the same time. We're getting better at it. I'm getting better at shuffling and talking at the same time. And I'm not as professional as my gorgeous Kelly Jones, who is like a freaking card shark, you know, casino level awesome shuffler. As I love watching her shuffle. I also love her readings. Kelly Jones of Divinely Loved by You. Do check her out. I love her monthly readings. Have a lot to thank her for her inspiration, and love it a bit. But yeah, so your waning crescent coming into new moon card for this week. What does my beautiful group need? Okay. Okay, what have you got? Yep. This is an interesting one. I'm saying, it says boundaries. Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? Well, I mean, this is very fitting to the talk that we've just had, the first part of the talk about not groveling. So replay that and go back to that. Absolutely. The not groveling, about setting boundaries. And the key here that I really wanted, my awaken framework of the joy within that came flooding out of my inner wisdom space in February this year. What, for my own personal and professional transformational journey, is that a lot of talk about boundaries out there in the self-healing, self-empowerment, whatever space. A lot of talk about boundaries is often, again, mistaken from the misunderstanding of the cause of experience. And so because they're saying, well, you know, the outside world is causing me to feel stuff, then the boundary taking is from an ego thinking, intellectualized, fear-based, you know, put your armor on, get your fortress up, and force your boundaries on other people in order to be okay. This is wrong. This is not what boundary setting is all about. Boundary setting actually has absolutely nothing to do with the other people in the outside world making them behave in any certain way that you think that they should. Boundary setting is about tapping into your own Crone wisdom, listening to your inner voice, being guided by your inner GPS, and taking aligned action in your life that is for you. So that's in fact what it's all about. And it's about coming back into you. So what things are out there this month that, you know, what thinking particularly, what story have you been telling yourself this month that got in the road of you tapping into your inner voice and following action based on that inner voice? What boundary within yourself do you need to set? What self-limiting story do you need to release? What awareness do you need to bring into your life where you are, where you're catching yourself in the midst of saying something crappy to yourself and saying no to your ego self. So the boundary is between your spirit and your ego self. It's not between you and the outside world. When we are living from our don't give a crap, unapologetic authenticity, fearless compassion, we don't need fortresses. We don't need to wear suits of armor, and we certainly don't need to go into battle with other people around us. We don't. It all falls away. And therein lies the tapping into your joy and living peacefully and energetically, just bringing more good stuff in, because if we're focusing on the fight is what you'll get. Okay, my dears. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for those who will watch this in replay. Do comment. Say hey. Let me know what you're taking away. Let me know what you love about it. Let me know what confuses you. Let me know what you might disagree with. Let me know. I want to know. I want to be able to be of service. I want to know what's, bugging you. I want to know what you're celebrating. All that stuff. So do comment. Say hey. Let me know what you think. I invite you to join in the Crone Circle on Friday. It will be the first of our Crone Circles. It's a monthly activity, dark moon activity, so which is otherwise known as the Crone moon or the waxing crescent moon, or also known as the balsamic moon. And it's the time after the full moon, but leading into the new moon, that enables us to let go of what didn't serve us previous cycle and create space and energize and be enthusiastic about what is coming. Yay. So, love you all. See you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we have chapter, I didn't make it go away. We have chapter 13, which is Crones savor the good in their lives. Oh, I love that. This is the appreciation element. My awakened framework of tapping into the joy within. It's awareness. It's wisdom. It's knowing your GPS. It's appreciation. It's self-love. It's kindness. It's equanimity. It's knowing that you're okay. Even if a storm is going on outside, you're okay. You'll always be okay. It's tapping into that and being in the now, being present, because all of this joy, all of this wisdom, it's all accessible only in the present. And this is what that's all about. And when we have those elements in place, they interact with each other and they feed into each other. When we have those elements in place, we are able to tap into the joy that is our birthright. It's our universal birthright. We are joy by nature. And the universe is love. So love and joy. Anything other than love and joy is just illusion. It's not the truth. So there you go. Yeah. And a good start to the good in life is appreciating the form that we're in, that may well be changing. Well, not may well be, is changing, but being okay with it. Loving the skin you're in, appreciating the vehicle, not punishing it, not restricting it, not hating on it, loving it as it is. So, love you all. Talk to you all later. Stay blessed for the rest of your week. See you Friday in the Crone Circle. Bye. I'm ending.